Welcome back to the 2020 Javelina Virtual Coaches Caravan. And we are joined by our fourth guest of the day, the head coach of the Javelina Women's Golf Program, Stefanie Maynard. Coach Maynard, thank you for taking the time out this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Coach, obviously you were one of the programs, unfortunately, that had your season interrupted by the NCAA decision to cancel the remainder of spring championships. And the LSC's kind of following along with that decision. But what was your assessment of the way your team played in 2019-20? Obviously, you didn't get to complete it, but you got to play a decent amount of your schedule.
Yeah, we did. We had, I would say, a really, really good fall. Some program firsts, at least since I've been here. Broke 300 for the first time in Oklahoma, shot 299. We're leading the golf tournament, so that was a first. And then, moving into the spring, we didn't play as well as I would have liked to coming out of the gate. But we got Rochelle back, from McAllen. And then and Christina was rehabbing, going to start coming back from an injury as well. So I feel like moving into the middle to end of March, we were really starting to find a groove, and we were getting everybody healthy. And so I think the end would have been really good if we would have gotten to finish.
Yeah, Rochelle, one of the players who you had here for 4 years, moved on after this season, but it seemed like she was such an integral part of the program, especially over the last few seasons. How much of an impact? How meaningful was the impact she had on your team?
Oh man, it was huge. When I first got here, she, I could tell immediately that she had a lot of talent. And it was just kind of undiscovered. And she worked really hard. On her short game and her mental game to really become the player that she had become last season. The injury kind of set her back a little bit, but last fall she played phenomenal golf. And, that was something that I knew was in there. And, and she was kind of a little bit of the cohesion of the team as well. She had a great sense of humor, and she just let things roll off her back. And in golf, that's huge. You can't let one thing get you down. And she was really good at that, last year. Have a bad hole, and she just, move on with life. So it was good for the team to have that type of personality.
Was it nice to at least get her be able to come back healthy and play in one more tournament before everything got canceled?
It was. I would have loved for her to be able to finish out her career the right way, to see what she could have done, at conference. But, to have her come back and feel good, towards the end of the tournament, I think gives her a positive ending to her career.
You had a lot of young players, a lot of new faces on your team last year. How much did you learn about your freshman players last season?
I learned a lot. Fatima came in and really stepped up to the plate. Really learned a lot about what college golf is, and how to handle the step up of competition. From high school golf to college golf. Really started to figure out how to handle that through some really, really good numbers. Bree played really well in Amarillo. That first round, and then the second round got rained out, but, played really solid. I thought she might, struggle a little bit with it being her first tournament in college, but she played really solid. And Katie learned a lot in her tournament, that she played in the fall. She learned a lot, and, Katie is a very hard worker, really dedicated, very hard worker, and I really wasn't sure what to expect out of her, and I'm really impressed with her work ethic. And Carolee just, she's one of those that has got so much potential and has to just kind of figure something out, and once it clicks, it's going to click and she's going to play great. So, figuring her personality out was good because she needs a lot of encouragement. And so that was good to be able to figure that out.
How difficult was that final day when you guys finally learned that, unfortunately, you weren't going to get to play anymore in the spring?
Yeah, that was difficult. That's probably one of the most difficult days I've had in my coaching career, honestly. Having to text the girls and tell them that, that was kind of how it was going to go, was not easy. And essentially, like, so in ending Rochelle's career, that was hard. That the hardest thing I've had to do. I had to field a lot of questions, obviously, that we had no answers to. And, not being able to give them the answers was probably the hardest part.
What has your off season been like? How much have you stayed in contact with your student athletes?
We've texted a whole bunch. I think I've talked to pretty much everybody on the phone a couple times over the summer. It's hard for our team. Everybody was working. So it was really hard to do the virtual thing. And the girls stayed in touch they do all the technology stuff, and so they were in touch a lot more with each other and trying to build each other up. We did a lot of reading over the off season to try to help with our mental game, to try to stay sharp and try to improve there. Like I said, the texting was the main way that we stayed in touch. That was the easiest with everybody working and trying to get ready for the fall.
Now, folks, you can give to the program of your choice, including Coach Maynard's women's golf program, by visiting javelinagiving.org/one-day or by texting Go Hogs to 202-858-1233. And your support means a lot to us and let us field champions both on and off the field. Coach, what has been your main message to your team throughout the offseason?
So my main message has been, obviously we have to have a lot of patience, but it's kind of going into our hashtag for this season, hashtag fortitude, really staying strong through the things that we can't control, really being mentally prepared for whatever life throws at you. And, I think coming off of all of this, I think the girls are going to have a new appreciation for what it means to play college sports, and I think they're going to appreciate things a lot more. And I know I do. You kind of take things for granted. So the main message that I've had for them is to stay patient and to stay strong as much as you can. And and then the good times are going to come after all of this. Once we get to start competing and we get to start doing what we normally do.
Now, one of the good things about golf is you can play golf while social distancing.
Oh.
Do you know how much your student athletes have been staying sharp over the course of the summer?
A lot, from what I have been told. They said that they have been practicing a ton, and they played a lot. I do know that. So I'm hoping to see some really great things when we're able to get back out on the golf course. I know a couple of them have really been working on some very specific things, some swing changes and things. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we got.
You guys are one of the few programs that has gotten at least a tentative go-ahead to be able to compete in the fall. What kind of a plan do you have in place, or a schedule do you have in place for your team for this fall?
So for the fall, if everything goes well, we get to compete. We're going to start competing in the middle of October. We'll have a couple of events. We'll go up to Cameron and play there. And the format's a little different. We're going to do a one-day 36-hole event instead of the 2 days of 18 holes. And I think they decided that we're going to do play in fivesomes. So instead of playing with other teams, you would just play with your team. Which is a little different. I've heard of tournaments doing it. I've never actually been a part of it, so that'll be a little different. Have everybody in one group. I won't have to be running around the whole golf course, which will be kind of nice, I guess. But just to keep the social distance and things in place. I think that's kind of how we've all decided to maybe go about it. And then after that, a couple weeks at the end of October, we'll go to A&M Commerce is hosting at a Texas Rangers Golf Club in Arlington. So we'll head up there, and there'll probably be a lot of conference schools at that one. We were supposed to have conference there last April. So it'll be good to actually get to see the golf course. And, if we host there, if conference is there again this year, then we'll be a little bit more prepared.
What are the hurdles that you and your student athletes need to clear in order to be 100% sure that A, you can compete, and B, that everyone will be safe in doing so?
The travel's the part that we're working on right now. We travel in vans, so there's not really a whole lot of social distancing in vans. So we're working on figuring out that part of it, the actual getting to the tournament, and then and then getting home. That's pretty much once we get there. We'll separate out in the hotel rooms, and I think everything will be okay there. I think it's just the travel part at this point that I think we're most concerned about, is getting there and getting back and making sure that and if somebody were to exhibit symptoms while we're gone, then how we handle that.
Do you know how much you'll be able to practice in advance of those events?
We don't. We do not. I mean, I have a plan ready to go. If whenever we get the green light to start practicing. The girls' class schedules are a little bit hectic, so it kind of makes it easier. I won't have all 10 of them at one time anyway. We'll break them down into smaller groups so we can stay further apart, and we won't have as many people around each other. But again, like you said, we're kind of the quintessential social distancing sport. Everybody uses their own equipment. Nobody has to, touch anybody else's stuff, and we're outside and we can be away from each other while we're walking. So I think we'll be pretty safe.
You mentioned the hashtag for this team for this season, which is fortitude, and sort of the message you're trying to instill surrounding that. How much of what you're preaching this year are things that have been integral in the culture you've been trying to put together in this program over the last 5 seasons?
Extremely integral. The big thing when I got here was making sure that we could mentally handle playing at a high level. And there's such a difference between just playing golf and playing at a high level mentally, because you've got to be able to deal with the blows that golf throws at you. And so I think that being mentally tough and then and strong through all of the adversity that happens, whether it be life or a pandemic or just a bad bounce on the golf course, I think is definitely something that I've really tried to instill in the girls and get them to embrace. And I think most of them have done a really, really good job of that.
How much growth do you feel like you've seen in your student athletes over the course of the last few seasons?
Oh man, immense growth. We can just, let's just talk about Maddie. I mean, Maddie came in, I think her freshman year, she averaged 83. And last year she averaged 78. And that was with a couple of bad rounds in the spring. I mean, she played phenomenal. She averaged 76 in the fall. Just played great. Got runner up in Oklahoma. I mean, just played fantastic golf, and and that's just, she is so competitive that she just doesn't want to lose. And she just works so hard to lead the team and to be a better player. Christina, same thing. I mean, Christina, I think. Won a tournament, a couple years ago in New Mexico, shooting, I think it was 5 under par. I mean, gosh, the sky's the limit, she can put a couple of rounds together like that. I mean, her freshman year, she shot 1 round under par, but she couldn't put it all together. And then she does that, her sophomore year, and she had a little bit of an injury issue last year, but I mean, it's incredible. And Abby too. I mean, Abby's come a long way mentally. Just from where she was her freshman year. I mean, the improvement in these girls is incredible. And we can talk about Rochelle. I think when I got here, Rochelle averaged around 84, I think. And she averaged, she missed a couple tournaments because of her injury, but she averaged like 79 last year. I mean, an improvement of 5 shots. I mean, that's incredible. And, I'm so proud of them because they have come so far. And yet they keep setting these goals and things that I'm like, gosh, you guys, like, let's, baby step it here. But I mean, they've got big goals, and it's impressive.
And folks, you can give to the Javelina program of your choice, including Coach Maynard's women's golf team, by visiting javelinagiving.org/one-day or texting Go Hogs to 202-858-1233. And Coach, what are the goals? You mentioned goals. What are the goals you have set for this team, not just next season, but over the course of the next several years?
The big one, obviously, is to get to the regional championship. We've, when I got here, I was looking at some of the stuff earlier, and when I got here, we finished my first season right around ranked 130 in the country, and last season, without even finishing the season, we finished it ranked 76. And so, I would say, and regionally we're ranked 21. So I think the big goal is to get up, to the top 10 in the region so we can get into regionals and hopefully start competing for a conference championship.
Well, Coach, we're certainly looking forward to that, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you again for the time this morning. Again, visit javelinagiving.org/one-day or text Go Hogs to 202-858-1233.